All right. Greetings, everyone. My name is Enid Rolstein. I am with the Council on Post-Secondary Education in Frankfurt. There we go. Let people in. I've worked for KYVL for about 18 years. Every day is different and I love it. What I want to do today is show you resources for high school, from basic things like encyclopedias to resources for studying with for the ACT and AP exams or the ASVAB. And then we'll talk about more higher level resources that are good for AP students and dual credit students. So we're going to cover a lot of territory in an hour. And I do want to say I'm informal, I'm flexible. So if you have questions, please unmute yourself and just ask away. I actually love questions because then I know that people are listening and taking in what I'm saying. So just stop me or I'll try to keep an eye on the chat as well. So here we are at kyvl.org. We're going to talk about this quick search towards the end that's at the top of the page, but I want to show you a few things. I'm going to go to the padlock here and hopefully, there we go. I wasn't sure if I had already logged in today, but I haven't. So this is what you and students will see when they're away from school. And if you have the user ID and password, that would be great. But if you don't, there's this request password button. And you put in your school email address, and this works for students as well. Put in email address, name is optional. And then as soon as you click submit, you'll get an email with the ID and password for the district. We do have some resources that everybody can create a personal account, and that personal account resides with the content provider, not with KYVL. So there's one ID and password for the whole school district. So the ID would be Knox pound K12. And let me look you up. Oh, nope. Just do the form. I was going to quickly pull up your login, but that's not happening today. Our member portal's been down for the last half hour. Okay, so padlock. Then here under for librarians, we have a Librarians Toolbox. And under handouts, we have this K12 Resources Overview poster. And what this shows you is everything we have for K12. It doesn't have a couple of the things I'm going to show you later on, Academic Search Complete and Alt Press Watch, because those are more college level, so we've left them off. But we have Britannica School, which is encyclopedia. Explora combines encyclopedia articles with magazine articles. And if you look across this fourth line next to Explora, it tells you that there are encyclopedia articles, magazine articles, newspaper articles. There's images or video. There are primary sources. And then the last columns are about the features available. So there's text to speech to read the articles. There's a translation feature. You can get Lexile. Students can pull citations and they're already pre-written. And then there is Google Classroom integration, which I understand that Knox County is a Google Classroom county. So you'll be happy to see that there's a Google Classroom button in all the K12 resources. So you just hit the button and you can add things to your class. Hang on, TKC's having problems. There we go. So this prints out as an 11 by 17. I'm also going to rework it so that these logos are links to the databases, but just know that you can always come here and get the more current one. And then here under these overviews, these are slides. So let me open up the high school PowerPoint. So what basically these slides do is give you an overview of key resources for the different grade levels. So here we've got the basics. Britannica School is encyclopedias. Admissions test prep is where you find the ACT and AP exam prep. It tells you what Explora is, opposing viewpoints, teen book cloud, and so on. Not every database that we have on our high school page is listed. There's so many more, but these are great resources as a starting point. Let me close that. And then we also have some scavenger hunts. So let me pull up the PDF of this. You can grab the doc version and import it into Google Docs, but these are all hyperlinked. And it's basically to get the students to get used to using KYVL resources. And then there's questions, and you can use all of this, you can use some of it, none of it, but it just goes through some different topics and resources that they might use, like Academic Search Complete would be great, looking for articles on vaping. And I say in here, it has more high-level magazines. It also has peer-reviewed journals. Pardon me, had to cough. So that's what's in the Librarians Toolbox. We weren't quite sure exactly where to put it, and that seemed like the most reasonable place is to make a toolbox. So, oh, good. I'm glad, TKC. You haven't missed much, and of course, we'll have a recording, which I'll put on YouTube. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to for K12 students on the orange menu bar and click Hi. And this is everything that we've got that would be appropriate for high school students. So we'll talk about Academic Search Complete in a minute. What I want to show you is Annals of American History. And I do have to log in because I'm home. All right, let me make this bigger. So Annals of American History, there's not a lot of bells and whistles here, but it is historical accounts, speeches, including presidential candidate speeches and presidential speeches, memoirs, poems, editorials, and cultural criticism. It also has key pieces of legislation that have been enacted. So if your favorite website that had the Bill of Rights on it somehow disappeared, you could come to Annals of American History and pull it up. So I also really like that it has this timeline. So I can pick a period of years off the timeline. And then these are all going to be accounts or speeches, editorials written during that time period. So students can get a real sense of what was happening and what people were thinking about. So if I pull up this one, this does not have Google Classroom integration. What you would do is go to Cite this document, and get this permalink from the citation. And then you could copy that into your Google Classroom. But what each item has at the beginning is an introduction that gives you context of where this piece of writing came from and why it's significant, quite typically. And then it gives you the source. So they often come from government documents. I used to be a government documents librarian. And I can tell you, once upon a time, they produced a lot of paper. So, you know, these are being pulled from Library of Congress and places like that. And I can only email or print. And then if I print, it reformats it. I can also search for something. So if I was looking for things about the Cuban Missile Crisis, I've got some results here, including the audio for President Kennedy's television speech in 1962. And those audio clips are in the public domain. So students can use them and not worry about it. But you get some results here. I particularly was thinking about President Kennedy's address. Does anybody have any questions so far? And somebody does need to mute, please. We're getting some background noise. Okay, back on the high school page. We are going to look at Britannica School, which is an encyclopedia. The content, this is something that we subscribe to as a state, and that's how KYVL works. CPE puts in a big chunk of our budget to cover these resources, and then we get funding from the state library and then all the districts and public libraries, the universities, the community colleges. Everybody contributes some amount for membership. So where I'm going with that is that this Britannica school is something we subscribe to. So the content is different than the free version of Britannica that you'll find on the web. So if I was looking for something about robotics, I could do a search and it's making a suggestion, robotics technology, and that is what I'm interested in. So here's my article. And typically, I've never seen this before, to be honest. Typically here where it says reading level, there's a 2, and that is the middle school level where you can toggle down to a less complex article. That's very curious. I could see robotics needing to be in the middle school database, so I'm gonna have to check that out. But from here, I can look at video. This one is obviously very short, which is also unusual, but I can have this read to me if I click the speaker.
Robotics, design, construction, and use of machines,
And you can see that it highlights the text as it goes along. I can click send to, and here's where Google Classroom is. I'm already logged into Google, so I'm going to choose my classroom, choose my action, and so on. Here is the citation, the checkbox. So I can choose the citation style and copy that, and that has this permalink to the article. And then if I have any video, if I go to media details, this video does not have narration. If it did, the transcript would be there. And what's also nice is you can click the checkbox and get the citation for the video or the image. if the student is going to use that for something. Those are all the features of Britannica School. It's just a really solid encyclopedia. Let me show you something else just for comparison's sake. If I'm looking at HeLa cells, here we got HeLa cell biology, and this one's also short. I have seen them go on pages and pages and pages. So the next thing I want to show you is Explora, which is also an encyclopedia database that has magazines in it. But were there any questions about Britannica? Nothing in the chat? Okay. So the next one is Explora for high schools. And there is an Explora for elementary and an Explora for middle school. Britannica is the same way. There's 3 interfaces with differing content based on the groupings. So I am going to look up earthquakes. And what's spinning here at the top, which I hope will resolve, is what's called a topic overview, which is an encyclopedia article. And I'm going to see if maybe there's something just wrong with the encyclopedia or the earthquake search. Let's do automation in the workforce. See if that pops up. So I can do a few things here. I've got ebooks to look at. I've got academic journals. I have news articles, and the icons to the left tell you what you're looking at. And then also over here, I can filter my results. If I just want magazine articles, I would check box magazines. So here is one type of article format, HTML full text. This is coming from Time and that must be an index. Awesome. Sorry about that. We'll pick another one. Okay, let's look at this PDF full text. All right, so I'm looking at a PDF. It's multiple pages. From here, I can download this and give it a name. And I already have one out there, so I'm just going to replace it. My Google Classroom button here at the top. So I just click on that and I get my screen to choose my class. I can also save this to Google Drive. All right. So it says try to upload your document again. Misbehaving, typically it saves right over there. But this is, oh, there we go. There we go. It's saved. So what it will do, if you don't already have an EBSCO folder, it will create one. And then here we've got, if I can sort this the right way. There we go. Artificial intelligence in the future of, and so on. So you can use that Google Drive feature. The page here over on the right in the tools area is for the citation. So I can pull whatever style I need. And then, depending on the citation style, the permalink is part of it. So I can get back to this at a later time. And, I just randomly chose one, but you can see that it does have the permalink there. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go back to my results list. And I'm going to specifically look for a PDF article, or pardon me, an HTML. So this is where you're going to find the translation option when it's this HTML full text. And then also I can hit the play button and have it read to me. I can also click my G Classroom button. I can send this to Google Drive so I can look at it later. Oh, yeah, I did it. Just did it twice. I can get the citation. And then let me just mention this permalink at the bottom of the tools list. So if you didn't want to use that G Classroom integration, and maybe you were building something in Google Slides and wanted to curate 3 or 4 articles for the students to read, you can get that permalink and paste that into your Google Slides. Never, ever, ever, ever copy the web address at the top of the page. That is just a moment in time. And if you share that with somebody, they're not going to be able to open this article. So definitely get the permalink listed here under tools. Or, if you're already pulling citations for some reason, the citations typically have the permalink. Going back to my results list, the last thing I want to show you about this, so if I wanted to look at these articles at another time, let's see, digital business, that looks good. Future of work, that looks good. So I'm just, okay, human computer marriage work, that sounds good. So what I could do, I've got a 19-year-old and 11-year-old, and because I work for KYVL, they have always used KYVL starting in 2nd grade for both of them. They both had to do a little report on a particular animal, and we went to Britannica School. We went to Explora. We got some information and they did their little reports. But what I have been telling them for years is you can do research on your tablet, you can do it on your phone. It can take 10 or 15 minutes or even less to do a search, tag some articles, and then this is what I do and what I recommend. I've got my 19-year-old doing this on her phone now when she's having coffee in the morning, where she'll do something for class and use this strategy. So she's in Explora. Well, she would be using Academic Search Complete, but the features here are still the same. So I go to the folder here at the top of the page. I can create a personal login. There's a sign in button up here. I can sign in with an account I create, and then I can save articles there, and they'll keep the articles forever in your search history if you want to. But what I'm going to do here, I've got 4 articles that I tagged. So I'm going to select all. I'm going to go over here to email. And I'm going to email these to myself. And I'm going to give it a name. And over here, I'm going to choose citation format and say I want MLA format. And what's going to happen, I'm going to uncheck this, remove these items from folder after emailing. Because maybe I suddenly have extra time and I can read them now. But I'm going to send these to myself. and it is going to send me 4 separate emails with the PDF files attached with the citation at the top of the email. And it's just that simple. Do a search, tag some things, email them to yourself, and then you can read them at a later time when you have more than 5 or 10 minutes. So just something to look out for, that you can use that folder while you're in a session and you've got your web browser open. As soon as you close this tab, that folder gets emptied and goes away. Does anybody have questions about Explora? Yes, there is a way to save the search. Great question. There's 2 ways to do it. One is to create a personal account here. So I can click sign in. And what I have done once is create an account. For this, I used my Gmail account, but I created an account once, I signed in, and then the next time I signed in, I did it with Google. So here I'm signing in with Google. Okay. So I'm signed in. I didn't lose my search, but I'm going to go up to my folder now. And I've got searches that I've done in the past. I can put save searches here. I can create search alerts, which is really handy. So if I was working on a long-term project, that maybe was taking 2 or 3 months and I wanted to stay current on the literature, I can set up a search alert, and every day, every week, every month, it could check those journals and magazines I've designated with the search terms that I've designated. And if there's anything new, it will email me. So, Christina, if you want some one-on-one time with me, I'm going to put the email to use here in the chat. I would love to show you how to do that. If you just want to drop me an email, we can schedule time, whenever you want, some evening or right after school, because it's a very cool feature, and it really preps the students for college, to learn how to use that. And it's also great for administrators and teachers if there's topics that you're following in professional literature. I would use Academic Search Complete as my resource and tag my journals and put in my topics, and just, that means it just automatically comes to my inbox. I've got some books checked out to me. I've got one ebook that I've checked out. Our ebooks are from EBSCO. We have a big chunk from EBSCO. This is one of them from EBSCO, which is where I'm signed in, is EBSCO servers, not KYVL servers. And then I also have folders where I have put articles that I wanted to come back to. So you can do that too. And the second way, Christina, I'm going to show you at the end. We have a new search interface that's really useful, and you can create a profile there and create projects and favorite things. And there's some nifty stuff you can do with that. Anybody have questions about Explora? Okay, let me show you Academic Search Complete next. This would be for your AP students, for yourself, for administrators, dual credit students. These are predominantly peer-reviewed journals. So I'm going to look at nanotechnology and medicine. All right, we've got 4,700 articles. This is coming from the Journal of Drug Delivery from 2012. We've got May 2021 from Biomedical Reports. That's Czechoslovakian. Indian Journal of Cancer, Nanomedicine Journal. Didn't even know there was such a thing. So let's look at this PDF. And we've already seen this interface with Explora. So the EBSCO interface right now, they're all the same. So the features are the same. I've got my Google Classroom button up over here on the right under Tools. I have my Google Drive. My citation option is there where I can grab my citation. And then the permalink is there. So again, I could curate a small collection of articles or ebooks for my students to read just by grabbing that permalink and putting it in Google Slides. I'm going back to the results list. Where was that? Oh, so again, you can checkbox things that look interesting. That's a review. I don't need that. And if there are any graphs, pictures, or charts, there will be thumbnails that you can see. There's how to cite this image button, and then there's high resolution image that can be used. So I love that feature that it shows you if there's graphs or charts or things like that within the article. So I'm not going to get too deep into this because the interface we've seen, but just know that these different resources are geared towards different audiences and sometimes cover different subject areas depending. If I showed you this list, databases A to Z, we've got 65 different research databases and databases for skills building. And you can actually go by type. So careers and job hunting, allied health, environmental studies, genealogy, GED resources, and so on. So again, that's under databases, A to Z list. Questions about academic search complete? I will look at the chat. Okay. Just let me know, Christina. I'm around, I'm available, here to help. All right, the next thing back on 4K12 High is opposing viewpoints from Gail. And now it's Gale in context opposing viewpoints. It used to just be opposing viewpoints in context. So just if you've seen this before, it did have a name change. All right, so opposing viewpoints. I'm gonna see everybody. Has anybody used opposing viewpoints? You can say yes in the chat. Okay, anybody else? Okay, awesome. Thank you all. I love opposing viewpoints. Absolutely love it. I shouldn't be partial to a particular one, but I am, because I love that it has prepackaged units on topics, and they are controversial topics. They are hot button issues. The national debate topic has a unit every year. Things from school start times to genetically modified food. There are almost 500 different topics that students can choose from. So if I come here to opposing viewpoints, the first thing I'm going to do in the upper right-hand corner is sign in with Google. So now if I go open my Google Drive, I just want to show you, you don't have to create this folder when you do your first add to Google Drive. It will create this folder for you. And so this is what they look like. This one was an overview, which is an encyclopedia article. So I've got that saved. And then there's other things. There are audio clips, there are PDFs, and so on. But if I scroll down to the bottom, here you can just browse, but I'm going to browse all 471. So here we've got the 21-22 national debate topic, which is water resources. We've got abortion, activism, fake news, fast fashion, facial recognition technology. But I am going to go to school start times. There it is. And also show you what is new or updated. Because bias, prejudice, and discrimination wasn't there probably a month or 6 weeks ago. So this is why I like these little units. At the top of the page is an encyclopedia article, this overview. And then here in the middle, I have a summary of my search results. So I have featured viewpoints, I have other viewpoints, and these are going to be the pro-con viewpoints. Sometimes they're pretty explicit in their statements, and sometimes they're a little more subtle. There are images, news items, reference articles, which again are encyclopedia articles. We've got videos, academic journals, websites, audio clips. A lot of these come from NPR broadcasts. We've got infographics, statistics, and magazines. So I can scroll down and look at some of the headlines that are available. So again, these reference ones are encyclopedia articles. I've got images, audio clips, morning edition from NPR. We've got clips from the New York Times video collection, magazine articles. And these squares, this content level 5 is the college level. 3 is middle school and 4 is high school. So it really just depends on your students. You can filter your results to a particular level. So if I just wanted to get content level 4 for high school, I can filter that out. But let's look at one of these. Let's look at revising current school year. And this is a viewpoint essay. And from here, I can translate this page. I can listen to it. There's the Google Drive button. I can download a copy of this to my hard drive. And this is what it looks like. I can do, I can go to read other articles that were suggested and then look at related subjects. So if I decide school start time isn't where I want to go, maybe it's school schedules or academic achievement. And I'm going to show you something that students can do. I am going to highlight this, turn it a color, And please save. It's not going to do it. I didn't empty my cookies again before this session. So if you have trouble with this, that's why you need to empty your cache. But what it will do is highlight the text. And let me show you what that looks like. This is what it ends up looking like. So they can do highlights and notes of an article. Here is my note for this section. And I've got several. And then it gets saved to my Google Drive so I can come back to it. And if I need to do annotations, then everything is right there for me. That's one of my favorites. And then the send to here on the toolbar can go to Google Drive. And the Google Classroom button's hiding at the top of the page. I wish they would move that down. But now I can choose my class and make my assignment, and it will link to this page. If I go back to school start times, some of the infographics are interactive. So not all of them are. So this one's interactive. So let's look at support for changing school start times. And then I can modify this. I can look at it, change what I'm looking at, and get in other details. I'm going to go back to results, upper left corner. So if I needed to change my content level, I need to do it here under filter. And then I'm going to choose level 4. And it changes what's available to me as far as my search results. Okay. So that's how you do that, is you filter your results. Does anybody have questions about opposing viewpoints? Everybody doing all right? Okay. One of the things I want to show you, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but I want you to know it's here. This Teen Book Cloud. Oh, that took a minute. This is ebooks, and it's fiction and some nonfiction like drama and poetry. There's an AP English section. There's a collection of just audiobooks. There are high-low novels. So I could look at fiction. Here we've got teen high-low, we've got classics. So let's look at this one. And so you saw that we have other ebooks, and those come from EBSCO. There is no limit on the number of users for that. So you could have 100 kids reading the same chapter of the same ebook, and it's not a problem. It's the same with Teen Book Cloud. You could have 50 kids reading this book, and there's not going to be an issue. But the difference here is that the EBSCO ebooks you can check out and download. Teen Book Cloud, you have to read online. And depending on how the book is formatted, I am moving through the book with my arrow keys. So that's just an ebook. But then we have things like enhanced ebooks. Let me find, let's just choose Mansfield Park, read online. And so here I have the text and I can move through it with my arrows, but over here in the bottom left is the play button. So that's the difference with the enhanced ebooks. They have sound effects, music, things like that. There's also a graphic novel collection. And those typically you scroll down to read it. And then when you're done with the section, you use the arrow keys in the upper right-hand and left-hand corners. Any questions about Teen Book Cloud? All right, the next thing I want to show you is Learning Express. Learning Express used to be an independent company and EBSCO bought them 4 or 5 years ago. So we have this admissions test prep. And Learning Express is one of our odd ducks of the KYVL inventory because it is about test prep or skills building. So I do need to sign in because it tracks my progress. So I'm going to click register. And when your students first come here, they are going to click register as a new user. And then I recommend they use their personal email address. So if they end up using this in college with grad school or they graduate high school and they get into the workforce and they want to get their CDL license, we've got test prep for that. So I say use your personal email so that they still have access to the resources and the progress and background, etc. Even after they leave school. But I've already registered, so I'm going to log in. And like EBSCO, the first time I did this, I created a username and password. And my username is my email address. But I did that once, but now I can sign in with Google. So what it's going to do, I've been in here a lot. So by default, it's going to show me my center. And then it's going to show me what I've been working on. So practice tests, I've been doing grade 4 geometry, the ASWB bachelor's practice exam, tutorials. I've been going through the ACT test tutorial, the English test prep tutorial. We've got ebooks here that they can download to a phone or a tablet or a Chromebook or wherever. There's no digital rights management, so it's not a problem. Okay, so yeah, this is their dashboard of activities. So if I got interrupted while I was doing the introduction to ACT test, if I don't want to continue with that, if I changed my mind about taking the ACT, I can delete that and I'll just delete this one and get it off my dashboard. But I can go back to it and it will show me what I'm working on. And then I can just click in and finish what I'm working on. So let me show you what a tutorial looks like. And this is the format of all the tutorials. So if they do one for an AP English exam and then they're doing the ACT, the tutorial format's going to look the same to them. So it will be familiar. So a lot of the tutorials have pre and post tests. This one does not, but we do have the Learning Express School Center, which has supplementary resources that can be assigned to students where they might be doing something like this and doing a pre and post test, maybe for Algebra 2 or something like that. So we've got math test overview. Do you need to take the ACT? Understanding the scoring, retaking the ACT, and so on. And if I'm doing this and I get interrupted, I can click save and finish later, and it's going to go onto my dashboard. Okay. So here at the top of the page, I'm going to the college admissions test prep, prepare for the ACT. And then here's everything that we've got for ACT test prep. There's tutorials, there are practice tests, and there are typically 4 per subject. This is not a knowledge bank. The questions don't change. So if a student works through all 4 practice tests, then that's it. There's not test 5 through 7 that pop up, okay? But if they do the test, there's a couple different ways that they can do it. They can do it as a simulation where the timer will stop. They can do it as a practice test where they can see the answers when they're done, or they can do it as learner and they can check their answers as they go. So I'm going to do practice. All right, my timer's going. I've got 45 minutes and I'm going to click next. So I'm going to choose a bunch of answers because I want you to see what it looks like. All right, so I could say finish later. And there is an ACT simulation that gives them a sense. There's no finish later button, so they can do a simulation and work through the entire ACT practice test and get their score. But in a lot of these practice tests, they can save it, but the simulation they can't. All right, so what I'm going to do is score my test because I want you to see this. And it's telling me that I've missed doing all these questions. So I didn't realize there were more. I could jump to a question. It will take me there. But I'm going to go ahead and score my test. Ooh, I got 1. And I can view my answers. It will show me what I got wrong. And then I can jump to that question and see the answer explanation. So I'm going to go back to my score report. It gives me a summary of what I've done and how the topics were arranged. And then at the bottom, it gives me recommendations that link to other Learning Express resources. So it will tell me how I should practice. Are there any questions about Learning Express in the ACT test prep? Okay. Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Of course, I had to check out those gigantic books from the public library. And when I was a public librarian, those things were like gold. We had to take students' driver's licenses so they wouldn't walk off. So this makes it much easier. All right, the last thing I want to show you in the last few minutes is quick search at the top of the page. We got a new updated interface to this about 3 weeks ago. And so you can choose your level. I could choose high school and do automation in the workplace as my search. And then this is what it looks like. These are my results. So I'm going to accept, I'm going to close that, I'm going to accept that. And so here I've actually got 1,200 results. And you can see that there are articles. And what I'm going to do first thing is sign in. Click my dashboard, and I'm going to continue with Google. Okay. And here are things that I've been working on. I've got projects on plant biology, AI. I've got other things that I have favorited. So I can do the search here at the top of the page. But once I'm in here, I could not sign in, but I like being able to put articles into folders and come back to them later. So I'm going to do my search again. I should have signed in first thing. And then I can like this article, and then I can add it to a project. So I'm going to do robots in manufacturing. Up here at the top, I can change my source type. So if I just wanted magazine articles, I could checkbox that. I could checkbox ebooks. And then if I wanted to look at this, I click the Access Online Now, and here's my article. This is from Regional Business News database, Thomas Net News. And so from here, I can see the table of contents. There isn't one for here. I can favorite it. If I do the quotation marks, here are the citations that I can choose from. And then I can copy and paste this citation or click copy to clipboard. I can put it in a project folder from here by clicking the folder icon. And the send to is where Google Classroom is. So I can add this to Google Classroom, Google Drive, or if I do create link, this is my permalink to the article. So if I didn't want to use the Google Classroom option, I would get that sharing button and grab this permalink under create link. So I'm just about out of time. I know that was super fast. Does anybody have questions about it? We do have videos on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and search for Kentucky Virtual Library, we have playlists. And so this contains videos on all kinds of things that you'll find in the KYVL collection. If it's something long, it will tell you. So we've got this one on resources for advanced scholarly research, which covers Alt Press Watch and Academic Search Complete. So if there's something that you want to learn, you can check our YouTube channel or email me at KYVL, at ky.gov, and then I will help you out. Do you have to be signed in as a district in order for the permalink to take you anywhere? Yes, that is correct. The permalink is not magical where it will automatically sign you in because that wouldn't protect the content, and our access is restricted to Kentucky. So you do, if a student clicks on a permalink or if you share it with a colleague, they will need that district ID and password. And Jennifer has it. She can also email that out to everybody if you forget to go to the padlock here on our page. Just know that I'm here for you, and I thank you all so much for your time. I am stopping the recording.
Thank you, Enid, and thank you to everybody for jumping on here. And I will talk to a lot of you all soon. And Enid, thank you